Hey everyone, and welcome to this next edition of the Marvel Snap Chat. I'm joined today by Cozy. Cozy, how you doing today, buddy?
What's up, man? Doing well, doing well. Excited for another episode with my man of the hour, Alex. What's going on, dude? How's the week? How's the second week of the year?
Oh, buddy, it's great. I mean, we've had so many changes in Marvel Snap. I mean, it's cold as hell here in Canada. It's getting colder, and I had a chance to go see the Buffalo Bills play, which I thought was pretty cool. Man, you guys like football in the States, don't you?
Oh,
We crossed the border there. I'm Canadian for those that don't realize. We crossed the border, went into Buffalo, and I gotta tell you, people were going absolutely nuts in that stadium. Y'all like football, don't you?
dude, like outside of I love Marvel, all right, but I would say top of my NFL and sports in general is my football is my biggest passion. Star Wars is right up there too, and then Marvel. So yeah, you hit the nail on the head, man. I like football. I played it, watch it. I'm all about it.
Who's your favorite football team?
Don't do
It's a
this.
leading question. I know who it is.
Don't do this.
And you know where
Why,
I'm going with this.
why do you have to cause pain? The Patriots. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
So you like the Patriots. They're your favorite team. I happen to watch the Buffalo Bills beat up on the Patriots. Cozy's very upset. For any audio viewers, Cozy is visibly upset.
Yeah, unsubscribe to Alex. All right, so let's just kidding. Yes, it was a beatdown. Not our year, right? We had 20 good ones, man. I gotta take the pain for a while. But yeah, dude, it's fun. I have a lot of Patriot hoodies in my videos, and I get like quick jabs or like a Patriots fan in there every now and then. It's fantastic. Alex, what are we talking about on today's video, my man?
Apparently, we're talking about football.
This is our football podcast. God,
Yeah,
the-
you're watching a football podcast now. No, we're talking about archetypes on the rise. We've got a brand new balance patch that came out, and thanks to that balance patch, we also have the opportunity to take a look at some cards that got buffed and how they've impacted the archetypes that they primarily play in. We're also talking about card substitution. This is a huge topic, a huge discussion, and basically we're talking about how strategies to substituting cards because we all see like card lists on YouTube and stuff. We want to emulate them, but you don't always have the card. So strategies to making the best of those situations. And finally, we're going to talk about our favorite 1 and 6 cost cards. We're going on either end of the spectrum. I actually love these conversations, Cozy. They're by far my favorite that we do. So I'm really looking forward to hearing what you love to play in 1 and 6 cost.
Best for last, dude, for sure. Winners and losers of the January patch. We're going to talk about that on my side of the channel. Initiative, I would say, arguably me and Alex would say that's our most important topic that we've almost ever talked about. It's super imperative to learn the mechanics. And then card drops have happened. We're going to talk about our recommendations, our thoughts on it, and everything in between for the new token system. Alex, archetypes on the rise. Now, I know you've got one like locked and loaded, right? I know you've got
do.
one. Hit me with the chamber. What do you got? What's the first one?
All right, literally the inspiration for this whole conversation is discard. Discard is back, baby. Whether it be Dracula discard, Apocalypse Swarm discard, whether it's Hella discard, which people are starting to get really excited about, discard is back. And Cozy, listen, I ain't a gambling man. When I gamble with discard decks. And listen, if you can make me, I have never figured this out. This is the one deck that eludes me. Cozy, maybe you and I got to figure this out. I need an absolute god tier gambling lockjaw list that just really just throws all cares to the wind. And I just want to high roll as aggressively as I can. I want to donate 8 cubes, but I want to win 8 cubes the next game. I think that's what I'm really after. But honestly, as a whole, jokes aside, discard's back, Cozy.
Dude, gambling blindfolded, right? Like Lockjaw, you're already doing cubes. You might as well just throw them up there. That's why I love these Silver Surfer discard Lockjaw. You got like 9 things working against you, but then if they work, you got like 50 points on your side. Yeah, man. You know, it's really cool to go back. I haven't done it yet, but you could go back and listen to some of our past podcasts, and we're talking about like archetypes on the rise and or cards that might be good later. And we had underrated cards way before the Vision explosion, and Vision got really popular. And I'm not saying that's because of us, but it's cool to see that we've talked about things and they're kind of coming to light. And the first one we've mentioned, discard, is getting better and better. Now, Zabu played a huge role into that. And then you combine that with the Black Cat buff, and that's obviously going to make some things pretty solid. What is your favorite deck right now with discard? What do you think is good? I think Lockjaw discard is very solid with the Dracula as well to go and have the American Chavez. What do you like to play?
I've been experimenting a lot with discard, and I've got to tell you, I feel like the lockjaw discard, whatever list I made, it felt like a complete gong show.
No
I could
way,
not win a
no.
game, man. Maybe we got to talk about that later, but the lockjaw was a complete wild festival. It
Oh
was
boy.
out of control. Maybe I just built an inefficient list though, but we'll talk about that after. But I do really think that the best deck right now for discard, honestly, is it has to be the Dracula and Apocalypse combination. Like it is so good right now. Like I've been running a list where it basically has. I actually just released a video on it. Clickbait title and everything. It's out there. You can watch it. And basically, what it does is it basically utilizes Zabu in order to get Dracula out with cards like Absorbing Man, well, not for the Dracula, but you would Absorbing Man, someone like Hellcow, right? You have all these options. Swordmaster is such a good card, and it actually ends up being a situation where like you end up emptying your hand, running up the Apocalypse like crazy, and then you get Chavez on turn 6. And then you know what you do? You play Chavez, and then you guarantee discard the Apocalypse. It is such a huge power play, and the nice thing about it is that Dracula coming out as a 2, it's like it's just free real estate, man. Like it's such a low commitment. It's not even a commitment. The only thing that sucks about this list is I can't run White Queen because it kind of dilutes your hand, which feels bad.
Yeah,
but
Dracula, it just works in so many decks now too, like 0 decks, high power decks, Lockjaw. Like playing them for 2 is just a laughable. 4 is even good, but 2 is like is insane. And you know what, Alex? It's funny. Out of all the in-depth guides I make and archetype videos and whatnot, the biggest video I have, you can go to my channel, put popular, is a discard video. People like discard. And I think it's just because it's a unique archetype. You've got things that destroy on the other side. You've got like the Swarm, cloning, Morbius building up. And, not only is Zabu coming in, but also, and this is always going to happen, whatever's the meta flavor of the month dictates the cards that are played. You'll see the rise of Killmonger, and then you'll see the rise of other tech cards. And Cosmo has been everywhere, even worse in the Silver Surfer season. But now that it's this Zabu game, you're getting Enchantress a little bit more as the tech card, right? Cosmo's still out there, but you're getting more. So that allows you to play these discard decks a bit more dependently, especially Hela, right? I mean, Hela was dormant in the winter months, man. Like November, December, Hela sucked, man. Like one Cosmo and you were done. And now you can even play Hela because you have backup options like Ghost Rider and like getting the Black Cat out there for cheap and obviously Zabu. Love that as the...
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I interrupted. What I was going to talk about Hela, because if you remember the beta, Hela was like one of the most popular lists. And they nerfed discard, but they didn't nerf Hela. They nerfed Lady Sif. It was Lady Sif that went from a 2 cost to a 3, and then suddenly the whole deck list kind of fell off the face of the earth, which is kind of crazy. But you still have, like, it's just such a good archetype right now, and we talked about it on your side. Black Cat got buffed. Now it's a legitimate option, a free discard. There's just so much to love.
Yeah, and I don't know, like, maybe next week we'll talk about the rankings of where we think all the archetypes stand currently. I don't know if I put discard at, like, the top. It's definitely, like, we're talking about on the rise. It's back on it's definitely rising. Another one that I would say I have 2 for you, Alex, and this is kind of its own archetype in a sense. And I don't have, like, one that I can click to show it necessarily. But I think zoo decks outside of Pool 1 we're starting to see it. And Thanos is a huge factor. You got to have Thanos in there. But you've got the Khazar, obviously being the 2 cost, and the Zabu helping that as well. Killmonger not being played as much. And obviously you can't, Zoo isn't always got to be the 1 cost cards. It doesn't always have to be. But I'm seeing more Zoo. I think Zoo is kind of finding its way into at least fit into some play later on. I don't think it'll ever be the top option because you've got like 1 card to slice them all. But with Dazzler and a couple others coming out, I like that. But the biggest one that I think has just tremendously gone up, I call it Toxic Rain. I have a video coming out. But Disruption and the Toxic Archetype. We already talked about this on my channel a bit. But the way that it works with Zabu, the way that you've got cards that are finally making sense. You have Sentry. You can Sentry and play the Void and send it over with Viper. That's now only 4 costs instead of 6 costs. You can do it a lot earlier. Luke Cage, pull 3. Wong in the Hazmat Bombs. Debris to rain the rocks on their side. This is an archetype that's very expensive card-wise. But I do think that we're getting the puzzle pieces. And I wouldn't be surprised that it's a full playable, like, competitive archetype down the line. Right now, it's not that it's only for the memes, but I wouldn't say it can take you from 90 to infinite or 85 to infinite, but you can climb with it pretty well. And cards are adding to it. And I'm excited to see a pretty fun disruption deck continue to rise.
I really like this list a lot. In fact, if you can take this list to infinite, I have a suggestion. I have a suggestion for you. You call it Toxic Rain. If you take it to infinite, I think that you should dress up like Hazmat, get in front of a camera, get the microphone really close to you,
Okay.
and you're gonna sing a song called Toxic Rain. You can go
Toxic rain. That's why I named
Some
it.
stay dry and others feel the pain.
You know that's why I named it that, right? Yeah.
Is it really?
Of course, man. Chocolate rain, toxic rain. It was too good. It was too good. I know my memes, man. I know him. That guy's voice is that of angels, buddy. That of angels.
It's a beautiful voice. I love that song.
And a good
The
stance,
piano.
too.
It's I can play like the piano's running in my head right now. Anyone listening to this right now, can hear the piano.
It's like 1 billion views and good message behind it. So, yeah, we've got anyway the toxic archetype. Very excited about it, and you know, you've got cards. The biggest thing with this one is you don't want to buy any of these cards like Black Widow and things. They're good, but they're just not worth your tokens in my opinion. But if you have them, use them, kind of like Zero and Zero, Alex. You know, we've talked about him. I'm not going to even go into him that much on this particular episode because we talk about it all the time. But it's nice to see that Zero's everywhere now. Like, he's starting to get his play, and it's because of Shuri, and it's because of these other cards. And this is the kind of blend of Zero and Toxic decks that I've been playing.
I love the Atuma splash in there. Atuma's in there for the audio viewers. You got a Zero Luke Cage hazmat list with Zabu, Shuri, but you also got the Atuma in there, which is great. And obviously you got the shell of the Typhoid Mary Red Skull for that Zero play.
So Zero, I think is not only great, it's going to continue to get good. And then Sauron is our newest card this week, actually. That only makes it better. He's far from a card I would purchase. Far from it. And you're hearing this from a guy that's a Zero fan, man. But he's only going to affect like 5 cards, and like Red Skull, Typhoid, and Lizard. And you already have things that can help with that. And so it's cool, though, to see more of those come out. And keep your eyes peeled for ongoing cards with negative, effects, per se, to that card or the entire group. Sauron might go up over time. That's one to keep our eyes on and one to purchase once he does drop later in the pools, Alex. Any other archetypes before we get to the next subject?
I would actually suggest that On Reveal is pretty interesting as well. That's obviously a very broad archetype, but with the addition of Zabu, you are seeing the Spider-Man and Absorbing Man type combinations, as incredibly toxic as they are. It's still, having a legitimate impact on the game, on the meta, a very viable strategy. And On Reveal as a whole, it's going to be one of the most common card types, right? Especially as new cards are added to the game. So anytime that, you see new combinations, new opportunities to utilize On Reveal effects, then I think that archetype as a whole just is always going to be in fluctuation, right? Depending on what is released, because it is going to be the most prevalent card type, moving forward. Cozy, I think it's time we have a conversation about the best card substitutions and just in general substituting cards and just the strategy and the kind of thought process behind it, because I think this is something that's really prevalent in Marvel Snap, where we show deck lists and like we do a lot of things on YouTube and on Twitch and things along those lines, and everyone wants to they want to play the best decks, they want to play the decks they're seeing in the content, but obviously with the collection based system as it exists, none of us can guarantee that you'll have the cards that we're showing, so it can be a source of frustration for a lot of people. So we want to take a second here to actually talk about some of the strategies you can utilize to kind of, make the best choices and substitute cards. Cozy, what do you think about this subject?
Yeah, I think I was going to end the archetypes on the rise with like the perfect transition card that I think is the one that stirs the drink. It's this guy right here, right? Like, talk about an archetype on the rise, the Dark Hawk kind of archetype, if you will, and you've got the Rock Slide, and it's tremendous. It's awesome. You can't substitute this guy because he's not only a great value card, but he creates that whole adding to the deck, and that's kind of his own unique thing. And this is where we've gotten a lot of the backlash as creators. And I've got to say, it's rough. It does suck because as a content creator, like, yeah, I want to make videos about the new cards, but I want to make videos that are widely applicable to everyone. That's like my passion. That's what I'm always looking to do, and take y'all's feedback and suggestions. There's comments that I've looked at, and I've added those elements into my video. And one of the hardest things, and thank goodness we now have the new card drop system, because it's been tough trying to find that balance. And Alex, really since the beginning of my content creation, I've always had replaceable cards as a fundamental value in my deck graphics, because I all of our collections are unique, and Second Dinners kind of said this. They're always going to be unique in some sort or fashion. You hit the nail, I'm going to say it, on the head, because you can replace a lot of cards, but you can't replace them all. And so it is cool to talk about the cards that are replaceable. The Darkhawks are not. The cards that definitely do one type of thing are not replaceable, but because they're all unique, right, Alex? So let's bring up a card in an example and then kind of give replacements that we think and why and some things to look out for.
And I do think, like, again, you're absolutely correct. Like, if I have a Mr. Negative video and someone's like, hey, I don't have negative, what do I replace it with? I'm like, bro, like, I got bad news. It's like there's some cards that are absolutely like archetype defining. Darkhawk is like that. So it can be very challenging. But like, for instance, we recently released a discard video, and it was the Wong Dracula discard video with Apocalypse, and a lot of people were saying like, hey, I don't have Dracula. What can I replace it with? And my response was like, well, Dracula plays a very unique role in this list. Maybe another list is better off for you. And then other people are like, hey, I don't have Hellcow. But I'm like, that's okay. That's okay. You don't have Hellcow. Yes, it's unfortunate. And Hellcow does play a very important role with Zabu and etc. But like, you still have options with, say, Swordmaster into an Absorbing Man, and like, you have a very similar impact. It's not the same, of course. It doesn't have the same emptying of a hand effect. The one thing I kind of want to warn of here, and this is kind of like one of the major points I want to bring up, Cozy, and I'd love your thoughts on it after. I think that the idea around substitutions is a well thought out process. However, it's also important to note that Marvel Snap is unique in the sense, whereas there is no card that is a direct substitution for another, because there are no cards that replicate their exact power or effects. So you'll never have a direct one-to-one substitution for any card. And I think this situation is kind of made larger by the fact that we only have 12 card lists. So with 12 cards, each individual card has a greater weight. It's more important to the entire deck list. It's more important to the entire archetype. So its role is so much more significant. It's a greater percentage of the overall deck. So you're never going to have a perfect substitution. They just really don't exist. However, there are some that do work really well. Like, as I said, if you don't have the Hell Cow, you can consider running like Swordmaster and someone like the Absorbing Man. Cozy, what are your thoughts on that? Because it can be tricky to substitute cards.
Yeah, man. I would say, so I'm going to bring up one of my graphics that have the replaceable options. And I think the core understanding is, what are you trying to replace with that card? If you're trying to replace the ability, you're not going to be able to with everything, right? Like Dr. Doom, he spreads himself all over. There's not a lot of cards that do that. You've got White Tiger that does something similar, but to a less degree. So it's understanding that. Now, it's kind of a fighting on both sides. I even asked in a comment, and I got conflicting answers. When I build my deck graphics, there's a good 10, 20, whatever percent that go to the video. They go right to the deck. They hear no context, and they see Sherry in the deck, and they're like, Cozy, you only do videos with pool 5 cards. How could you? And they just don't take in consideration the replacement options. So I asked, do you guys want to see decks with the best cards there, or the pool 3 cards, and then you can replace the best cards, right? It's a weird kind of system. But if you look at this graphic here, right, this is the Sarah control deck, in my opinion, one of the best in the game right now to climb dependently. And we've got the replaceable options on the bottom. And these are kind of different packages that control as well, right? So this is a great deck that you can replace options. The problem, though, is that, and on this one, I don't think this was my finished graphic, but let's say Mysterio. Mysterio is essential for the Bishop Giant combo to get all the, really it's a 10-point swing at the end, right? So with Mysterio, what does he do? He makes your opponent play a guessing game. He spreads himself out, very wide. And so the thing about him in general is he's a tough one to replace in the deck. So you kind of have to replace multiple cards to make it work. And it is understanding what you're trying to replace, right? So I think one of the easiest examples, and you brought up Swordmaster, and I think that's a good one to bring up. Maximus, right? Like, that was such a hot card last month. So many people didn't have him. And they're like, well, what I play for the value? So if you look at him, he's 3 cost and his power 7. That's the first thing to look at. What's the cost value? What's the power? And what's the role he plays in the deck? So cards like Polaris, right? The 3/5, Swordmaster, the 3/6. Those are, you can't do Black Hat necessarily, but those are cards that kind of replace what he's going to do. Or even better, last turn is when you want to play Maximus for like the max gain for him, right? Then that's when you want to play Wolfsbane and get a 3/7 if you play in the right lane at the right time. It's not as versatile as Maximus, getting the 3/7 anywhere, but it does the same effect. And same as Mysterio, right? You can do things that spread wide, like Squirrel Girl, and find ways to buff. There's just different mechanics. Mysterio, you can eat up with Carnage, right? Squirrel, Same thing. So finding out what that card does and then doing having a substitution that can also do something similar. Now, there are cards that you can't replace, Alex, and we've talked about that. Arrow, Magneto, these are just so unique cards. But when it comes to like big power, yeah, that's fine, right? The Lockjaw decks, the Hella decks, like if you don't have Magneto and that's the card that you need to have in there, dude, just put big old baby Hulk smash. He's going to do the same deal, right? He's going to do the same type of thing. And so, which is also why I recommend people unlocking just big power cards. They're kind of widely used, right? And so that's what I would look for, right? And add a spice or a sprinkle, if you will, of creativity, right? Look at your own deck and your own collection.
I love that you bring that up because it's funny because your prior comment about how like, you're like, oh, you use Shuri. I released a video that had Absorbing Man in a discard list, and like the first 4 comments were like, you use Absorbing Man, F you. And I was like, man, come on. Like, it's a good card and it kind of actually works. But the one thing I've been doing and in my videos is I've been actually, the gameplay part of the video has actually been me reiterating on the deck. So I actually put like V1, V2, V3, and you'll see like 3 or 4 different variations of the same style archetype. I had a discard list I was running Wolverine in, and it was actually pretty decent. It actually wasn't even that bad. And Wolverine was doing his job, man, with Morbius. It was great. I was running Gambit in there. He was bouncing. It was great. And you know what? It was one of those things where it's like, sometimes cards will surprise you. And the reason why I bring that up is because I think utilizing creativity, like you just mentioned, is incredibly important. Let's talk about what this game does really well. We all have unique collection systems. That means that when you're facing an opponent, you can rest assured they don't have the best deck in the world. You don't have the best deck in the world. They don't have a complete collection. You don't have a complete collection. There's cards that they want. There's cards that you want. We're all in this in the same kind of position, okay? The thing that makes the difference between one deck builder and another is the ability and the willingness to be creative. Not just to look at a deck that like Coccia or I put out or any content creator puts out or you see online or on Twitter or whatever, but to take that list and then say, okay, I see what they're going for. I see what they want to do. How can I make this list my own with my collection? And I think that not only do you get agency over your deck list, agency over your wins, agency over your ranked climb, but I think you'll find one of the most kind of like incredible feelings. Like for me, the way I engage with this game is I'm a deck builder. I love experimenting with cards. I love building decks. My favorite comments are the ones where people are like, Alex, you know, I'm having so much fun with your deck list. Thank you. That is the one. That's what I do this content for. And I feel like when you just look at a deck list and you're like, this is the exact replication that I want to make, and you don't really consider for a moment that like you could make substitutions that take it to the next level, that meet your play style, that meet your expectations for what a deck should do, I think you're robbing yourself of one of the greatest experiences in this game. I really do. Because yes, it's about winning. We want to win cubes, but it's also about that creativity and watching something that you've created do work for you.
100%, man. And like, talk about a creative side, right? Let's say you guys unlocked Taskmaster, right? And you don't have a great example. You don't have Red Skull. You want Red Skull because he's a great play to, you know, get the Taskmaster 15, whatever. Okay, well, what is a card that you have that you can combine? And again, it's using the creative options here. You can always get a big. Go ahead, Alex. Go. What is your? What do you?
So I rose my hand because I didn't want to interrupt.
Calling on Alex.
But I would say, sir, please tell me if I'm right. Would you use a Devil Dinosaur?
So funny enough, I like that. That is option number 1, Devil Dinosaur. But then if you want to get cheeky, Alex, let's say you don't want to play Devil, or you don't have a lot of cards. You have a deck that doesn't have a lot of cards. Guess what, man? Guess what's one of the weirdest things you can do? You could throw a Hulkbuster on any card in the game, and Taskmaster's going to take that entire power. So maybe you've got a any card that's an 8-power card, a Crossbones. Throw it on that, and it's a 12-power card, and then Taskmaster can copy that, and it's only 3 cost. It's weird stuff, but it's stuff that you have to do to think outside the box if you don't have the options. And so there's a lot of interesting mechanics, and the creativity is going to matter a ton, right?
Dude, that was incredibly creative. I would never have thought of that. And you know what? If we were playing 1v1 friendly battles in a tournament and you hit me with that combo, I would never have expected it. And you might just win cubes because you did something unexpected and creative.
Yeah, dude, I think that has a lot to be said about it, right? Like, being unexpected is such a big part of this game in general. Now, I want to say also with, like, if we're talking about an archetype, like destroy decks, right? If you don't have all these pull 3 things like Venom and whatnot, then just try to make a deck that you can work around with. If you have Death and no other options, guess what? Moon Girl, Death, Squirrel Girl, Killmonger, that's all you need. That's all you need to have a very powerful deck. So don't always look at the high end. Don't always look at the top meta options out there. Look at just good cards for the archetype that you like to play, and then, save up the tokens and unlock the ones that you really want to have, right? So it's just looking at what the deck, in short, right? It's looking at the power, the cost, and what the card does.
Yeah, and I think that one of the major points to take out of the conversation as well is that there is no perfect replacement, but there is another deck that you can make. There is another variation. Adding your own creativity can be so valuable. And ultimately, like, each individual card in Marvel Snap has such a huge impact on each individual deck. So you can have a deck list that's one card off from walking you to infinite. That's how impactful any one card can be. And you know what? Maybe, just maybe, because I'm going to throw something out there. Maybe a viewer watching right now is watching a video from another content creator, our videos, who knows? And they're playing a list, and maybe their creativity takes our list to the next level.
Oh, dude, all the time. I
Right?
guarantee you the best lists out there are not from the people that you think they're from. And there's, 100%. I far from claiming that I have the best list or any of the people that you think are the best players. They're popular and they're everywhere because of that. But there are better options out there, and they're just creativity away. It's like a Disney damn slogan, right? Like the possibilities are endless. But awesome, dude. Let's go to the next subject, right? Or do you have anything to close on the best card substitutions?
No, we can move to the next subject, but I was going to talk about something we talked about a couple weeks ago too, which is if you really want to gain cubes, the deck is kind of an important part of it, but it's not the only part.
Yeah.
You know what is important? Knowing initiative. You know what else is important? Knowing when to snap. You know what else is important? Knowing when to retreat. It's not just about the deck list, guys. So use the opportunity to experiment with deck lists and really kind of flex your creativity. And I think that you'll get more out of this game. I really do. And I want to talk about this is what I've been talking, I want to talk about this so much. It's by far my most exciting topic. Favorite 1 and 6 cost cards, Cozy. Favorite 1 and 6 cost cards. Listen, I know that you love talking about your favorite cards. You know I love talking about my favorite cards. And we've got both ends of the spectrum here. We got the 1 drops and we got the 6 drops. Let's start at the 1s. Cozy, hit me with what you think are amongst your favorite 1-drop cards.
And I want to make it spicy. We're going to completely get rid of Nightcrawler and Sunspot. I think those were the ones we used last time when we talked about that, and those are the easy options. Sunspot right now is just the overall. He's just so good. Right? He's so good for the value you get, right? So if we didn't talk about kind of the more popular ones, I've got a couple. I've got a couple up my sleeve that I've been using a lot more. And again, I got Galactus, so Rocket Raccoon has been a fun one for me. Dude, I'm going over to one of my newer unlocks, Titania. She's definitely, now she's going to be more, available. She's going to be in the pool 3. She is so far up there of a big brain card. I don't put her in all my decks, and I think the reason why she's not in all the decks is because it can feel really scary to play her. Like, you can give your opponent the lead. You can lose. I've lost games while learning her. I've lost so many games like, oh, I should have done this action on Titania. I think I might even do a full in-depth guide just on how to get the most out of her as a card. But you get the 1/5 value, and then to have an option to close off combos if they have 3 in one lane, and to have the option to play this back and forth game in different locations where you don't maybe want Titania involved. She is so dang fun to have. She has the risk of all cards like Killmonger, and she fits into, I would dare say, just about any deck. Destroy for Venom, Zero, you name it, she's going to kind of fit in there. So she's one that I want to point out as a new option that I'm loving if it wasn't for Nightcrawler or Sunspot. How about you?
For me, a card that I talk about all the time that I'm like, man, I wish I had this in my deck list. It's Elektra. Like, honestly, Elektra is a card that I feel like no one plays at all. It sees no play. And there are so many times I'm like, that stupid Sunspot sitting there smiling at me, no armor. This guy is so confident. He doesn't even have an armor on this Sunspot right now. If I could just Elektra this fool, I could snap and be on my merry way. Elektra, I find myself playing way more often than I would expect. It trades so effective. That's what it does. It trades. Its disadvantage, of course, is that you don't want to tempo it on turn 1. It feels terrible in that way. You don't just play it on turn 1. Not like an Iceman, who would maybe be the second card I'd want to talk about today. Like I obviously like Iceman's the best, but he's not my favorite. So don't you dare show him. He is not my favorite. But I do like no, see, Cozy, you're trying to upset me. You're trying to upset Cozy's laughing. I would say that like my favorite to play is Electra right now. I absolutely love Electra.
Yeah, if I were to pick one like that's a bit more available too, I do want to throw out like Rocket Raccoon. I played so much whenever the game came out, and I think he's solid. He's solid because not only playing him on turn 1, but I love having and saving him. If you save him for the later turns and you know they're going to finish up a Wong combo or Galactus deck again, because I know they're playing there a lot, or the Avengers camp, like locations where they have to play, or where they're closing like Storm. He has so much value as a 1/4 man to just add that extra sizzle, because sometimes on turn 6 you're not even playing a 6 cost card, obviously, right? And so Rocket Raccoon is another one that I don't think gets enough love out there.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a really fun card, and I like the idea of using it as a closer. Ironically, Titania is similar like that. You can use it on like the end of the game, put it on a location that you know already has 4. Like it really is a card that that works really well to that regard. Can we talk? I need to talk about another one too, if you don't mind.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was gonna bring up a couple more. I mean, Hood. I just we talk about Hood enough. Hood's so damn good. But yeah, which one?
I want to talk about Agent 13.
I knew it.
So I brought this up in my top 10 list. I did like way near the launch of the game. I did a top 10 list about like my favorite Pool 2 cards, and Agent 13 was much higher than people expected. And I do think this card's a lot of fun, namely for players who are trying to access some perhaps Pool 5 and 4 cards, and maybe just get a little lucky. You pull that Galactus, you pull that Thanos, or I mean Thanos doesn't feel as lucky if you get it randomly and whatever. That's a different conversation. But I mean, Agent 13, I think, is a 1/2 that gives you a lot of options. Obviously, it works really well with one of the best decks in the game in the Devil Dinosaur decks, especially if you're in Pool 2 still. I mean, if you're not in Pool 2, Devil Dinosaur is playable at any point in time. It really is. How many times are we going to bring up Devil Dinosaur? It's like, I think, is Devil Dinosaur my arrow?
Oh, 100%, dude. I wait for Devil Dinosaur to come out of your mouth every podcast. I love it.
So yeah. So anyways, I do really like Agent 13, and I think it's a card a lot of people sleep on, and obviously getting like the random card to your hand, doesn't have the impact of making sure you draw the perfect card every time. But sometimes you'll surprise yourself with the utility of the card. There really aren't that many bad cards in Marvel Snap.
No, I would say
right?
with one cost drops, man. The one thing that I want to point out about them is like, look at them past turn 1 for what other things they can do, right? Like, obviously, the Hood Viper is such an obvious example. But 2 things, just like for those that maybe got Zabu, that don't have Absorbing Man. Quinjet, right now, if you have the discounted Moon Girl and the discounted Shang-Chi's, you're going to be having 1-cost options. And the great thing about Quinjet as well is that it can get down to 0. Unlike Sarah and other cards, you can have free plays, like obviously Thanos' Stones. It's a 1/2 value. And then the Zabu Moon Girl action truly makes this a solid card. Try it out. You can have Shang-Chi. You can have 2 Shang-Chis for 1 cost each. And it's insane. It's something I've been seeing a lot. And then even Quicksilver, guys, I had a Lockjaw deck guide. And I talked about Quicksilver being a guaranteed kind of coin that you can put into the casino, and it takes him away from Jubilee, so you don't have to worry about Jubilee pulling Quicksilver if you're in the lower pools, or even, I've been playing them too in that Lockjaw and Def Guide. And so it's like, where can you use these outside of like the obvious, right, for the 1-cost cards? And that's kind of what my favorite things are.
I can't believe we live in a world where you brought up Quicksilver before Zero. Like, what is happening right now?
Yeah, I try not to talk about the same ones all the time, right?
I know.
And,
Can I talk about one that like I've been playing a ton? And this is one that like at first I was like, I think this card might be way better than people give it credit for. And it's Ebony Maw. So Ebony Maw is a 1/7. But listen, I've been playing a ton of Electro ramp lists. And my Electro ramp lists, I gotta tell you, they're greedy as hell. I run Electro and I leech, and then what I do is I play Doctor Doom and then I play Odin. That's my plan. That's what I like to do. And guess what? Doctor Doom and Odin, they don't care about Ebony Maw. They don't care that I can't play cards there, because those Doom bots, they come flying. And guess what? I've even been playing White Tiger lately too. Guess what? Them Tiger Spirits, they don't care either. It's just it's 1/7 power. I play it whenever the hell I want. Obviously, after turn 3, I can't, so I take that back. But anyways, you get what I mean. I play it on turn 1. I don't even care, because I know in the other lanes, I'm going to be playing combinations that give me the opportunity to access that location anyways. 1/7, it's god tier.
Oh, for sure, man. And with Sora on the new card, being able to play him at any time is so crazy. Like, that's probably his best combination by far. Love Maw, 0. play him a lot. He feels like the perfect balance of like the risk and the reward in building decks around him as a whole. Okay, so here's the 1 cost. We got through those. We went, more than just one. But let's talk about 6 costs. We've talked about that a lot, but currently your favorite one. Now, Alex, just like Devil Dinosaur, I know you're gonna try to bring up like Heimdall or your lady. Let's be honest.
You have to let me talk about America Chavez. You can't cut that away from me.
Lovely lady. You love yourself some America. For a Canadian, you love America.
I love America. This was a football podcast for the first 10 minutes. Of course I love America.
Fair enough. Well, what is your favorite 6-cost card to be playing with this season?
It's got to be Doctor Doom. It's got to be Doctor Doom. I've been talking about it for weeks that, you got, I mean, it's you. You got me into Electro. And Doctor Doom is such an amazing card with Electro. You get him on turn 5. You follow it up with the Odin. He doesn't care about locations. He just wins games. Like, he's just so damn good. And he's also excellent with like Jubilee. He's excellent in Lockjaw lists. Like, he's just an amazing card. It's 15 power spread across the board. There's very few instances where playing Doctor Doom feels bad. And he's a card that probably has been seeing the most play, for me at least, because I've been playing a lot of I've been playing a lot of Electro. And I think he's an amazing card. He's an amazing card. And I know you like him too.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think he's great to also like counter the whole Absorbing Man, Spider-Man action and stuff like that. I've been loving it for a while. Sure. I thought he was going to get nerfed a long time ago. And I think about 2 months ago when I made the pull-through tier list, he was S tier just for the value that he has and how many decks he can fit in. Off topic, and for audio listeners, just you're going to have to just imagine, but and because you play the game, I really hope that we see the variants come in form and fashion of like Doom bots or Mysterio clones. It feels so weird that it's not, and I get that they have to do separate art and that these are not made for this, but it's something that it's like it would just add more to the variant. But yeah, like the cape, look at the movement on this one. This is a Max Grek, who's one of my favorite artists in the game. Dr. Doom, great choice, man. Glad you said it. I've been looking through a lot of these, and honestly, I play a fair amount of 6-cost cards. Giganto's always been way up there for me just for his pure raw power. But we kind of showed Zero. I've got to talk about Arnim Zola, man. I think I'm on my 9th split of the guy. I cannot get him. Oh, wait, you know what? My bad. I just got him. It was not 9 splits, but I just got him gold. I play him that much. I forgot I got this yesterday. Nice. So Arnim Zola is just, I think, one of the most creative cards in the game that open up a lot of potential and a lot of counterplay, and just 8 cubes, right? 4 cubes. He just throws off what your opponent is thinking, especially if you put him in decks that he doesn't exactly belong in. So Arnim Zola would be my current pick to slot into unrevealed decks, and then obviously you can put him in 0 build-up decks, Shuri decks. Once you guys get Shuri, definitely belongs. No question, Arnim has been up there in my favorites, and then always Big Papa Thanos. So those are the clear-cut ones, and I think we haven't gotten a ton of 6-cost cards outside of like the big bads and Null. I want to see some more out there. I'm excited to get more.
Can I also give a special shout out to Agatha, like just for the meme videos? Like, this is a pure shout out. Let's be honest, this card is absolutely rancid, but it's fun. It's a fun card to play, man. It's 16 power. You play Wave. You get her out there. You get control of your deck again. She
definitely is fun, especially on the content creator side. She's a lot of fun to like watch where she plays. Her AI is dumber than dirt, but it is fun to see things that, like, dude, I abide by the snapping on ego rule, and I'm always like, maybe this time my ego is gonna make good decisions for me. And I swear to God, he's like, you know what's a bold strategy? Let's put all of our cards in one lane. Like, it's insane. Or like you have 6 energy, and it's like, let's play a 1 card. It's crazy. The AI's
I have a video where Agatha put a Mr. Negative into Space Throne. I didn't know what to do.
Big brain. You know what? It's just trust and believe. That she's probably just seen more than we do. These big meta decisions. We should just write all of her moves down, like 500 games, and then just copy that. That's probably the
always
meta.
Believe in the heart of the cards.
Yeah, oh, good. Oh, good God. Oh, man. Dude, I love this snapshot. We are now on episode, 12, 11. This has been so cool to keep up with this weekly. We haven't missed a week, Alex.
No, we haven't. And I'm so happy because if we missed a week, I would be sad.
Yeah.
This is therapeutic for me. This is therapy. I feel like you should be billing me after this.
Oh man. Well, maybe. Don't give me any ideas. I do want to hear from our viewers as always. We want to start doing either a mailbag or having just suggested topics. There's so much to pick. Like we have so many things to talk about, and it's hard to whittle them down. And so please let us know whether that's through mediums of Discord or on the YouTube comments as well. We'd love to know what you guys are interested in from us. And then we have heard you. We have guests starting to line up, and we have some great ones and huge ones down the line that you guys will not expect, if I'm being honest, but we're going to keep that a secret for now. Alex, thank you for having me on for another week, buddy.
Oh no, thank you for joining, Cozy. I mean, this podcast it would never be the same without you, buddy. You're absolutely god tier, and I just appreciate all the positivity you bring to the community as a whole. And obviously you're very knowledgeable of the game, but most importantly, I think you're a really good ambassador for the game as well. So thank you for all that you do, Cozy. The world around is clapping for you, my friend. The world around is clapping for you.
Just a guy, man. But just a dude. That's what people. It's like I'm just a dude, guys. I'm a guy over here in San Diego, but I appreciate that, man. That means a lot. I've been that way my whole life, and positive dude. So and looking forward to meet anyone in person, and you'll see the same. Just happy camper.
Yeah, and guess what, guys? If you need more Cozy, it's right there. You can click the link. It's right there. The video's there. It's right in the middle of the screen. That's Cozy's video. It's in the description as well. It's in the comments. Click the video, and we'll see you on the next Snapchat episode. Peace.